Yeah, technology these days really does feed into the learning design. There's been quite a radical change in the way that we develop learning material these days, in particular to allow for the mobile formats and the different use cases that we have on a mobile format. We don't tend to have people clicking through pages anymore. People want to scroll and have a much more free-flowing interaction with their content. And we need to make sure that that impacts or that is taken into account when we come up with our learning design. There really is a danger that the technology might get in the way of learning design these days. It's really important that we use technology as a facilitator for good learning and not as the object. And we don't want people to stop engaging with the content in order to engage with the technology that we're using to deliver that content.
Normally, when the project kicks off, the learning designers will be the first on the project to come up with the ideas. They'll liaise with us, the programmers, and the design teams. And basically, we'll sort of talk about what's possible and what we really want to achieve, and then we'll sort of narrow down the technologies that are best suited for that procedure.
I'm really excited about the move from Flash to HTML. I think that Flash served a really important role and was an amazing technological leap from the web world that we had in the late 90s. And these days, Flash still has its place. It's still a really useful technology for developing highly interactive components. But I think more and more we can do a lot of the stuff that we used to do in Flash and we used to require Flash for, we can now do in native HTML. And the advantages of that are that we can meld the best of what we did do in Flash in terms of having really quite dynamic layouts, but we can make it so that the content is more fluid and we can fit more content into a given space, whereas Flash used to require us to tightly define the stage size in which we had to work. Well, the technology that's got me most excited at the moment is the virtual classroom. And I think this is really the first time since we moved learning online that we've been able to recapture all of the things that we missed in the classroom in terms of interaction between the individuals. For a long time, learning online has been about a talking head and a PowerPoint presentation. And these days we can actually have multiple parties communicating and working simultaneously and engaging together on the one piece of content or the one activity. And I think that's really the beginning of the next evolution of online learning.
Well, I think with moving to a mobile area, you've got to think how you want to present your content. And that's very important because you're not necessarily presenting it in the same way as you would on a desktop computer. So it's not just about having flashy animation or whatever. You've got to think about what situations they'll be using and viewing the content. And quite often that's in a very time-poor position where they're out on site somewhere, they're in a classroom with a limited amount of time. So you've got to tailor the content to it, and that's the most important thing, first of all.